Welcome to the Dimensional Shift for Starseeds, where Starseeds, quantum spiritualists, and alien enthusiasts gather to shift time, space, dimensions, and realities. I'm Revi, your guide, and I work hard to create a safe space for the spiritually tired, confused, and abused to reclaim their sovereign power and take back soul custody. This is the universe according to me. Okay, everyone, I have a lot of activity here in my home as I'm trying to get this started. I'm talking about free will today, and there are some creepers lurking that don't want me to share this message, so that's kind of interesting. I wanted to talk about free will and the idea that maybe it's gotten a little out of hand. That may be kind of a hard pill to swallow. We all really like our free will because we want to have that control and we want to feel like, we're living our life, we're making our own choices, we get to decide what we want to do for everything, and we like our independence, right? Especially if you're in America, we're hyper-independent, most of us. Even if it's not a trauma-based hyper-independent where you feel like you can't trust anybody, we're just very much about sovereignty and independence and, making your own choices, autonomy, and all of that. But for some people, this seems to have gotten a little out of control because we have all of these people in power and these beings roaming the earth that are making these free will choices, but they're abusing that power, right? They're manipulating other people, they're using it to control the system and get benefits for themselves and all of that. Like, we know that that's the system. It's broke and it's being controlled and manipulated in ways that we don't want. It's like the epitome of what we call the Matrix. And so I've been exploring this idea in my own life for, that free will, or what I call like a creative force of nature, versus cosmic or natural order. And so my life this past year, throughout the fall especially, has been extremely difficult, very chaotic, very upsetting, very depressed, very emotional. I've been doing a lot of inner work, but it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. I feel very stuck right now. And so these past few days, I've been thinking about this idea of cosmic order and the fact that you can't force alignment. So let's think about this cosmic order thing first. So here on Earth, we think of things like life and the creative life force and all that. Even if you go into nature, life is very chaotic. Are you going to live? Are you going to die today? There's survival. There's being hunted and being the hunter. There's evolution and mutations and growth. And even life as a seed, are you going to get enough sunlight? Are you going to get enough water? Does the soil have enough nutrients? Like, it's very chaotic. Think of a lot of the philosophy of chance and randomness. But we draw a lot of our power from the idea that we have free will and we get to make decisions and we can improve our life by making those decisions. And I absolutely agree with that. We have a lot of power with our consciousness. But the idea of cosmic order puts a lot more purpose into that. So the way I view this is, I don't know if you've ever seen depictions of planetary orbits that turn into sacred geometry. They're really cool. I think if you look up Venus orbiting the sun, it turns into like a mandala, a flower pattern. And so this idea that the cosmos is infused with a sacred geometry and everything has a purpose and a path, then alignment actually becomes the path of least resistance because it's the path you're supposed to be taking. It's all of the random side quests that we go on that get us off track and bog us down with all of the things that aren't really important. We just think they're important at the time. And so if you take the path of least resistance and you get back on your path of sacred geometry, then you actually find your purpose and get back on track. This will remove the chaos in your life. Maybe it sounds overly simplistic. It probably is. Most good things are simple and we just make them hard. But getting back on the path of alignment is actually the path of least resistance, and it's the easiest path. And that's why when you talk to coaches and you talk to some of the mystics and everything, and you're asking them what your purpose is and what you should be doing with your life and your mission and all of that, everybody always starts with, well, what are you good at? What's easy for you? What do you do so naturally that you don't have to think about? What do people come to you asking for help with or asking about? That is your path of alignment, because it is the path of least resistance. When you want to get back on your aligned path, you can start by removing the chaos. And what I mean by that is doing some of that shadow work and finding out what's causing damage in your life, who it's causing damage to, how it's causing damage, why you're doing those things, if you're doing it consciously or unconsciously, what the motivation is behind it. Once you realize all of that, you can start eliminating those side quests. Either finish them up and close down those trajectories, or just end it, stop it, get rid of it, put some boundaries up, say no, and close down those trajectories so that you can move forward with your main path, your main quest in life. As a starseed, there's more than just your collective or even your galactic family, right? You're actually part of multiple collectives, because we all have more than one aspect running. And what I mean by that is, I may be a human here and I am a starseed here, but I have more than one avatar or soul aspect running at once. So when I did my Atlantean transmission and I said Merkaba was an aspect of me, what I meant was that she is another soul fragment, not really a fragment, but like an aspect of my soul that's running in Atlantis right now. And when I'm able to channel her, that's just her coming through to this body, and chances are she probably channels me sometimes too. Now, most people, when they say I'm a Pleiadian starseed or whatever, they usually mean that the aspect of them that's running this human avatar is Pleiadian, and I think that's fair. Interestingly enough, though, we can actually switch aspects while we're human and still run the same lifetime. For example, when I first had my Starseed awakening, I was running an Andromedan aspect, and over the course of the next 6 months or so, as I grew and learned about my Starseed, I eventually switched into a Sindari aspect, which is sort of like a parallel Earth, and they would be the Fae of that Earth. Anyway, now I'm running my Atlantean aspect of Merkaba. We integrated a couple weeks before I did that transmission. Anyway, a total side note, but you have more than one aspect. You have more than one starseed or galactic being, right? And all the information that we download and collect is generally from other aspects of ourselves. Now, we also have access to those collectives' data sets. So we have the collectives that we come from, those collectives. I have the Atlantean, I have the Sindari, I have all of that I can download, right? And then you have your soul family, which is the people that you gather as a very close nuclear group of people around you. They may or may not be from the same collective. It's more soul-based rather than collective-based. And you gather them around, and they're people who support you and love you on a galactic level. But there's also what I call soul groups, and I like to think of them as, you could think of, I don't know if you guys have ever played old video games where they had like the guilds, where it was the blacksmith's guild or it was the alchemy guild, where people of a certain profession or skill set gathered together and they traded items and they taught each other things and they learned from each other. And so it's kind of like a group that's based on a skill set that you have. And so, for example, I'm part of a soul group called the Mind Warriors. Super cheesy name, I don't know. That's just what I call them. I don't worry about names and avatars in galactic conversations, because generally it's based on whatever paradigm we have running at the time. But it's called the Mind Warriors, and basically it's a group of beings who work together to help other beings, especially here on Earth, free their minds from whatever cages they're bound in. And this is part of why I work against the system so much, is because the system is what is keeping us caged so much. And so it's like a guild of people who work with me and work with others to help free other beings from being trapped in their own mind by their own cages, right? And when I get stuck, there's always someone who comes in and is like, hey, yo, Revi, you need to look at where you're limiting yourself here. Like, this isn't even real. You're just caging yourself in your mind. You need to look at this. And it's really, really helpful to have someone come in and help with that. So there's soul groups, and generally our soul groups are formed around our different types of missions. And I have 6 types of missions that I'm defining in a general archetypical way to help people understand or have a starting point for where they should begin to start understanding what kind of mission they're here for. Hey, Revi here. I wanted you to know before we get into this that all of these questions that I present to you later in this episode are written down in a resource for you, and you can access that at dimensionalshifter.com/subscribe. That will sign you up for my mailing list, and you can get this written resource so that you have all those questions and journal prompts to go through on a rainy day or whenever you're feeling motivated to find your aligned path. So the intrapersonal mission versus interpersonal, which is next. So the intrapersonal is you're here to heal yourself. You're here to get rid of all of the karmic cycles and all of the debt that you have owed to people, and you're here to get rid of all the contracts and get rid of all the curses and free yourself from whatever you're stuck here with. Now, a lot of the times this comes into the Akashics and people get stuck in all of the Akashic crap, so they're here to get rid of that. There's a lot of people who are here to heal themselves end up with very traumatic lives, especially in childhood, because that serves as the catalyst and as the sole reminder of, hey, I'm here to heal all of this stuff on a very, very, very intimate personal level. It's not about anybody else. It's not about healing the family line. It's not about learning how to do it and then teaching it to others. It's simply about self. And there's no wrongness in that, because everybody has to have a healed self in order to be able to do anything to help anyone else. So don't feel like this mission is a lesser mission just because it's about you. It is absolutely not. So the next mission is an interpersonal mission. That would be healing your family line. That would be people who come here to be healers, to help others heal their bodies, help others with their mental health, help others heal their soul wounds and all of that, like the shamans and the medicine women, and then also anybody who works in energy medicine or medicine in general or anything like that. We're here to heal others and help others heal themselves, right? The next is an earth-centered mission, which would be people who are focused on healing the environment, working with nature, working with animals and plants, and also I throw this in here a little bit, is working with the innocent. So even children, teaching children to grow up in a healthy way. That kind of blends in with the interpersonal. But teaching children to grow up in a healthy way and improve life here on earth for everyone, to help them come into their own mission. So any kind of protection for the innocent, helping the innocent grow, helping nature flourish, repairing the damage done to the earth and all of that. The next I term interdimensional. It's not really a great name to call it, but I wasn't really sure what else to say. These are the people who are here to work specifically as mystic channels, mediums, any kind of teaching psychic skills, teaching people spiritual paths, things like that, specifically for bridging between the other side and this side. They work as a bridge, an ambassador, an emissary, however you want to say that. The next one is advancement, and so that would be anybody who's here to teach, be a mentor, be a guide. This can be for spirituality or it cannot. Anything that is information based. It could be for helping improve technology, it could be for helping improve medicine, it could be for helping people with their spirituality, teaching spirituality, anything that's going to help advance people in a general sense. It's not one-on-one specific like with an interpersonal. It's more in a general sense. I kind of fall under this advancement. I like to teach, I like to guide, but I'm not about a one-on-one kind of situation. I've tried to do one-on-ones. It's very strange and awkward for me. I'm not here for that interpersonal healing type of relationship. The last one would be working on a collective or societal level and healing, helping, teaching, improving things like that, breaking down the system, helping build the new system, breaking down paradigms, helping shift problems in society and the cultures that we have, and bringing people together on a larger scale. Those are the general missions that I have seen people have and start to form their own more specific missions from. Hey, Revi here. I've had some questions about my membership. Here's a glimpse at what I teach and guide. The difference between stuck wandering in circles and arriving at your intended destination is a map. And what is a map but perspective? A dimensional shift. I don't provide answers for life, death, spirituality, or anything else, but I offer a cosmic perspective for you to consider. I've been down these paths. I know which lead to quicksand, which lead to heartbreaks, which lead to lost companions, and more. My membership is the cosmic map that I've created, and it has perspective that you can use as a guide. There's no answers, only guidance to find those answers yourself. So if you're ready to step into the future at the 111 Vortex, check it out at dimensionalshifter.com/memberships. I have a few questions to help you understand where you should go to discover these things. They are kind of generalized questions that most coaches will ask you. There's nothing too special about these, but they're kind of interesting to reflect on, and they will really give you an idea of what you're passionate about, what's easy for you, and what's going to be your path of least resistance. So, what are you naturally good at? What comes easy to you? What do you sometimes say, oh, why did you mess that up? That's so easy. People do this with me for math, and oh, that's just math, that's so easy. Well, it's easy for you. But if you ask me, well, why did you spell that word wrong? Or that's not grammatically correct. Words are easy for me, numbers are not. So go with your natural talents. What do people ask you about? What do you correct people about? What's easy for you? What do you like to do? What do you do without even thinking about? And then on the opposite side, what do you struggle with the most? What is hard for you here in life? What kind of trauma have you gone through that's caused struggles? What do you wish you could change about yourself? What kind of lessons are you learning or should be learning? What are you passionate about? What could you talk for hours about? What do you like to talk to people about and share and teach about? What do you want people to be able to see and understand to help themselves or to improve? And then lastly, what do you rant about? What makes you angry? What makes you feel like people aren't listening and that make you frustrated and wish that you could change? Is it like the environment? Is it something where it's so obvious to you but people just have their heads stuck in the sand? What makes you angry? Is it something on a personal level? Is it that you need to set boundaries? Things like that. Go over those questions. Spend some time thinking about them and reflecting on them and see what comes up. See if there's a pattern. Are they all related to your family that you need to help heal your family line? Are they all about how people just don't understand these things, and if they just had more information and had someone to explain it to them better and help them reflect on it, then maybe they would understand and maybe be able to act better and do better? Is it that people don't see their gifts and their abilities and you wish that you could help them improve their lives? Is it so you wish you could help them and teach them how to use their psychic skills instead of suffer through them and escape life to avoid them? Look for patterns in these questions and see what you come up with. And if you would like to share, I would really love to hear what kind of missions you come up with. They vary so much, and it's so interesting to hear how people's paths align differently and yet cross with another's path. Just like in sacred geometry. We're supposed to be walking our aligned path, right? And they all interconnect with someone else's aligned path. And at those points, we have magic. At those points, we have fractals. And so stop forcing things that aren't working. It's like trying to add a number to Fibonacci sequence. It messes the whole thing up. If something's not working, get rid of it. If you're avoiding something you should be doing, do it. And I know that's oversimplifying it because it sounds way easier than it actually is. I understand that. Do some exploring. Find out who's in your soul group. Reach out and say, hey, who's here to teach me about my skills? Who here is like me that can help me advance my powers and learn more about the path I'm supposed to be on. Coming full circle here, I just want to say thank you so much for listening. I would love to hear your take on the universe. You can do so by leaving me a review or a comment on my Instagram. Drop me a note and let me know your perspective so that we can learn from one another. If you want more Dimensional Shifter, you can find my website at dimensionalshifter.com. You can find my Instagram at Dimensional Shifter. If you would like to be a founding member of the Discord server, that can be found at my website, dimensionalshifter.com/Discord. Of course, all of these will be in the show notes. This is Revi signing off.